We're good. All right. Call to order, and the first thing I'm going to do is a roll call. Tyler Bradbury. Here. Elizabeth Hartman here. Bill Higgins. He's excused. Thank you. Fred Miller.
Here.
Tom Patterson. He's excused. Sharon Setter. Ken Budge, Council Liaison.
Here.
Emmanuel Stewart, Staff Liaison.
Here.
Joe, well, we have Javier, right?
Here.
Building Inspector, Code Enforcement. Change your name. The first agenda item 1 is we are going to open the public hearing. The applicant is Mario and Rebecca Valenzuela. The location is 526 Camino de Nevada, and they are requesting a variance to place a manufactured home on their R1 zoning property. So with that, I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there a presentation by the applicant?
Yes. Our manufacturing.
Could you come to the podium, please, and state your name?
Yes, my name is Mario Valenzuela. And this gentleman is going to be doing the our part on it, so we want to go for it.
Okay, and sir, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Greg McClanahan. I am with a company that represents Champion Homes. Champion is one of the larger home builders in the United States, and we are the builder of this particular home that Mario and Becca would like to put on their property. To give you kind of a big picture of the reason that this request for... Oh,
sorry, we're just getting the volume up.
okay. Am I able to be heard okay?
Hang on. Sorry. Let me
When we move the cords, I must have hit.
Testing.
There we go. When I move the cords,
all right, try again with your test.
Yes. Is that better?
Not you.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So I've been in the industry of construction for 30 years, and the categories that building as a general rule falls into under the category of residential would be site built, multifamily, manufactured. A category within the manufactured would be modular construction, as well as now MH Advantage construction. So over the years, the industry has tried to be advancing in the architectural design and features, and always trying to maintain sensitivity to affordability. But the way that we have been able to advance our product forward has been through some very creative engineering. And one of the things that has happened with the initiatives of affordable housing on a national level was a great acceptance of the HUD building code by the federal government. And so a couple of years ago, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac federal...
Technical difficulty. I'm going to need to stop you real quick.
Okay. I'm sorry, am I not able to be heard?
No.
Right, we got some
I think
technical.
you wrote the channel up.
Well, let me...
Go ahead, we can hear you now, we just can't see you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got you.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Sorry about the interruption.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for, I didn't want to drop off at an important time either. And so obviously I could go through quite a bit of history, but the gist of it is that a few years ago, the federal government came up with a new building standard that if it were followed, a manufactured home could be treated like a site-built home. That program is referred to as MH Advantage under the Fannie Mae guideline and Choice Home under the Freddie Mac guideline. And what this has allowed is for this new construction standard to be introduced for the benefit of having a home comparable to a site-built home. So over the years, the affordability of construction has obviously taken its toll by material costs and labor costs, but the biggest thing that a manufactured home lacked was not in its architectural, or it was not in its useful life of the materials that were used, not in the energy efficiency or the performance of the home, but it really lacked in the curb appeal of the home. And so with the MH Advantage and Choice Home program with the federal government, it was that if you build to a new design standard, that it would then be able to be compared to a site-built home in an appraisal. And those things included having a steeper roof pitch, having a wider overhang of the eaves, a garage attached, dormers or a 72 square foot covered porch. It had to have a concrete foundation that the home could not be set any more than 30 inches above the ground. And often, I don't actually know of any MH Advantage home that we built that hasn't been more close to ground level. But very little of the foundation is exposed, as most of the crawl space access is underground. So there is some energy efficiencies that are required with the Department of Energy. So all of these things were designed to protect the consumers from not only having an efficient home, but also a home that would be a complement to any neighborhood. So we have gone through other communities, and as we've been able to provide an education about this new category of construction, it often is able to be that zoning can be modified and amended to allow for site-built or MH Advantage qualified homes. We don't want, and we aren't seeking tonight to have an approval for a manufactured home. We're asking to have an MH Advantage qualified construction standard home approved. So it's a very high level overview of that, and I'm happy to provide more details if I could answer any questions.
Thank you. We'll move on and we'll get back to questions. We have comments by persons in favor of the placement of this mobile home in this neighborhood. They would like to speak. Manufactured home. Are there any persons in favor that would like to speak? Are there any comments by persons opposed to this?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Please step up to it and give us your name. And let me tell you that you have about 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it fast. I wrote something out of nothing.
What
Did
was your name?
you all got the petition that everyone signed?
Can I ask you to state your name first?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I never did this before. So my name's Lane Youngentop. My wife's Cindy Rooney. We're next door to the lot. The bottom line is, I'm not going to go through what I wrote out. Everyone in this established neighborhood is against it. They don't want to change the confidence. They don't want to change the zoning rules. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for nice people to build a site-built home like we did in 2008 And, that's it, they're against it. Why would you want to change the zoning laws? Why would you just go along with everyone else? I don't know, would any of you want to move into a neighborhood with every home in that neighborhood opposes changing the law, and you are here trying to change the law? That's all, like I said, I'm not, I just don't get it. I don't understand why we just don't do it like everyone else. That built on the site. Changing the law, changing zoning. When I first met the gentleman and his wife, and that he showed me a picture of my son. I had no idea, he was negotiating with, I think, your Joe, right? Well, he was negotiating with the city to try to get, the laws changed, never mentioned it to me. And the next day I found out. I'm puzzled. Who would do that? I would never do that in my lifetime. I'm serious. Everyone's against it. You see all the signatures. There's 3 missing. One was moving in at the time, and the other 2 was I couldn't locate. Like I said, I am really puzzled why we're here today. To change laws for one person when everyone that's been established in the neighborhood, and I'm not going to repeat again. That's it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? And
John,
yeah, of course, I'm going to recognize you.
Sir, if you just,
Yes, sir.
the only body that can change ordinances are the city council. I'm the mayor,
Yes,
so
sir.
we're not changing laws.
There's a name.
So we're not changing laws. This is an exception to the rule. So just so you understand that this, whatever happens tonight is not a, let me just finish. It's not a change of the law. It's just basically, this is an appeal to what the law, what the ordinance is. And they have the right to look at an appeal to the ordinance. So we're not.
Oh, that's understood, but if you're gonna give an appeal for him, why wouldn't he just want to build a site-built home?
I'm just trying to clarify what you said was that we're changing the law here. We're not changing any ordinances. This is an appeal to the ordinance that exists. Just, the only one that can change the actual ordinance is the mayor and council, and we're not doing that here tonight. Just wanted to clarify. Okay?
Okay, all right, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, as long as you people understand what I'm trying to say, that's it. And I go with everybody.
All right. Are there any more comments by person who post? Take your name, please.
My name is Lori Ogilvie Lewis, and my mother and I built the first house in the neighborhood. We built it in 2002. Yeah, we're the queens of the neighborhood. And I have in front of me our original homeowners association, or blue, we call it blue pages of stuff that seem to have gone by the way. I have a neighbor next door that has wood piling into the trees. 3 cars, an SUV, a truck, a bicycle, a motorcycle, 5 bicycles, and a trailer in the driveway. None of this is allowed by this. But most assuredly, it says in here, no manufactured homes. And I still have 10 more years to pay on my mortgage for my real home. So unless you can demonstrate that these manufactured homes will not reduce the compensation and the value of my home, I don't want to hear about it. We have enough trouble with taxes as it is anyway, and valuation, etc. So anyway, it says specifically in here, no trailers. And if you start throwing around MH versus manufactured home versus mobile home, don't try to fool us. And I want to say this. When my mother and I built the first home and moved in there, we were told there were going to be 175 homes in the easterly section. There are 17. Am I correct? 17?
Yes.
On the other side of another street was this called Viejo, Camino de Nevada is the street of concern. There's supposed to be another 125. We were promised that there was going to be a little plaza up where Mark McIntyre's trailer is. We were told there was going to be a restaurant, a bowling alley, and all these other things that never came to fruition. But we love our homes. We love our little homes. It was the newest neighborhood around. My mother wanted to build new, and we built new, and we built according to the rules. So I'm against it, and I'm being the member of the neighborhood, and my mother, I'm speaking for my mother as well. No, and no, we don't change all the rules for one person.
Now, can I ask you a question?
No, not right now. Sir, are you there for a position? Please go to the podium and state your name.
I'm resident 522. The reason I moved there is for the fact of the neighborhood itself. I went in there and came down here from Tucson. We bought the home in Bisbee because of this neighborhood, because of every house there is plain. And it's a neighborhood, it's a real neighborhood. And I just bought the house and I don't want to see the volume go down. So I know we're not talking about changing all that. But once we make a concession for one, we now open the door for the next one and the next one. So I think that you should consider this and consider everyone in the neighborhood who doesn't want it. And as a new owner, as I said, I came there for the purpose of holding the value on a young man and hope to attain, equity in that home and see the property grow. So I think this could have a detrimental effect on us. And that's my comment. And I thank you all very much.
Other opinions by person of code? Yes, please. Good evening, Simone. I'm the owner of the house at the 116 Nevada. And we got the house there from my brother. And we want to keep the value of the houses in that area to the standard, not manufactured home. Manufactured home is not the same as a state-built house. The value is different, that is, so we have to keep the value of the house. That's what we are posting. Thank you. We're gonna, move on to the summarization by the city staff. You, Commander? Yes.
Okay.
Hang on, we have a couple more. Take that here real quick. Make sure they get seated. Would either of you two like to make comments? Are you opposed to this? I am. And did you want to make a comment about that before we move on? I said when you just came in. Yeah, I never thought it was sold before. Can you, are you able to get up to the podium and give us your name? That lot was sold before. I'm sorry, can I have your name first? I'm Barbara Simpson. Oh, hi, Barbara. And that lot was sold before. I bought mine in 2005. So they had plenty of trucks to build a home. And it's just not fair to the rest of us that have built homes, maintained homes, to suddenly change the building. Thank you. Thank you. All right, one more time. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to the public? All right, I apologize. Now we move on to the summarization by the city staff.
Can I ask one question? Is it possible that,
Not just yet.
okay,
I promise I'll get to you.
okay,
Okay, really quickly, okay, so I just wanted to, tell everybody this is a variance. There was me, first time doing this, so, check it out, I don't know. So the variance is what they're asking for, and essentially a variance would be granted, because of certain special circumstances, applicable to the property. Any, the variance is granted and it's subject to conditions, and really it's really up to the board here to, you know, you're not here to grant special privileges, but, to, you know, that's definitely like work with everybody and make sure that, you know, the project has a positive outcome for everybody involved. So essentially, this is compatible with the general plan. So the city of Bowie has a general plan that they update every 10 years. And one of their goals in the general plan that was written in 2015 was a land use element goal and policy, which was to encourage infill, you know, and also work with rewriting the zoning ordinance to better meet the needs of the community as a whole. And in the San Jose growth area goals and policies, they had a goal of providing sufficient residential land to support a mix of different housing types and opportunities, to meet the diverse needs of the persons of all income levels and ages. So it's allowing this manufactured home in this R1 zone area does contribute to the diversity of housing types. It also increases housing density, which is the goal of the city. And it's a more affordable housing option, and it contributes to you know, it encourages accommodates the changing family arrangements and market conditions that we face as things have changed so much, especially in the last 10 years. So allowing this manufactured home in this R1 zone area does help contribute to the general plan. So in this specific instance, I would say it'd be reasonable to allow this particular manufactured home in this zoned property of the applicant, and it's reasonable that the Board of Adjustment approve the zoning variance for 526 Camino State, Nevada, based on the findings with and the compatibility with the general plan. So,
Thank you.
Point of order,
It's the staff right now.
and then you about Joe, what he just said.
No,
Our
not just
neighborhood-
yet,
Not just yet, our neighborhood is not just San Jose, it's Don Moon South. So anything that you're referring to may have no bearing on us whatsoever, we are not San Jose Estates.
It's the growth area, it's not the Vanderbilt Estates, it's the growth area,
Okay,
just so you know.
the Sheena,
No,
it's the growth area.
We have been living here for 20 years.
Okay, welcome. All right, so that, we're gonna move on now. Thank you for the summarization. Is there any rebuttal by the applicant?
Yes, well,
Sir, please go to the microphone. and-
again, my name is Mario Valenzuela, and I did have a question on you. You referred to your manual, is that an official,
Sir? You need to address the board. and this is
okay,
the proper time for you to ask questions of the audience. So you need to do rebuttal.
My request is, I want to know if the paper that she had was an official homeowners association that she was referring to first off. Could I get that, question answered? Because as far as I know, there is no HOAs in that area. Homeowners association. So if anybody else has any question, I'm sure Greg will.
I would like to mention a couple of things. And oh,
Hang on, sir.
okay, sorry.
Go by the protocol.
Okay.
So are those your rebuttal comments?
They are my rebuttal comments.
And
Yes.
so your rebuttal comments are about,
Well, yeah, the homeowners association that she referred to, that large document from her first bill. So, is it a homeowners association or is it not?
and
So
that
that
is
is
not
my-
something that we were asked to consider.
Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. That was just a rebuttal question that I had to her.
And I have to tell you again, we're still following protocol, And there'll be a time for you to have other questions, but I
There's
just
not
don't
another
know.
question, I'm responding to him.
I don't need you to at this point.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
It's not before.
We not ask questions about what
You will be, yes.
he mentioned over there?
The next thing I'm gonna do, that's rebuttal of the applicant, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna close this public hearing. Public hearing is closed.
Um.
We're gonna have a discussion of the variance applications among board members. What spot, if there are additional questions, is there a spot for me to open them up? I'm clearly not sure, Joe. Is Joe on there?
Yes. Joe Estes,
Yep, I'm here.
she wants to know on the, usually for the protocol for the public hearing, there's no more, discussion with the audience. She wants to know if she can open it up to the board to allow the audience to ask questions when it's the board discussion.
Yeah, it's up to the chair member to make that call. I would suggest try to limit that. You know, the main discussions are between the board and the applicant and their representative. You know, the board, the reason for the hearing is to get the input from the community for or against, and I think that has been provided. I don't know what additional questions the board would have for the community, because it's, you know, essentially the hearing portion is to allow the board to determine what the community's position is with regard to the requested variance.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, Joe, this is our city attorney. We have a question from our mayor.
No, my question is, as chairman, if any of the board members have a particular question, then they ask whatever, not a long discussion, just to answer any additional things that you as a board may need clarity on.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that, we are going on to discussion of the variance applications among board members. Please.
Yeah, I have a question. So what I'm hearing, and thank you all for, sharing your opinions and thoughts, they're all valuable. What I'm hearing is that the biggest concern that the homeowners, have is the devaluation of their property from this manufactured home that's coming in. And so I would like to hear from the, and I'm sorry, but
Greg?
Greg, I'd like to hear you reflect that, if you could, please.
Yeah, thank you. So the federal government is the one who has taken this stance on the valuation of this MH Advantage qualified home. I think it's important that we know that it's not a manufactured home in a traditional sense that we might have the thought of. It is an MH Advantage home, which if you considered maybe the building code changes from 2002, if somebody's home was built with those codes today, that home would not be qualified, would not meet the current standard of the 2018 building code. Similarly, in 1998, when the when the Uniform Building Code was replaced with the International Residential Code, there's just code changes and things that are introduced into code that we hope that through this educational conversation that we could make a designation between a manufactured home and an MH Advantage qualified home. And that home is comparable to a site built per federal guideline. So the valuation of the $300 and some thousand that the Valenzuelas will spend on this project will in fact complement the neighborhood, and it's not an inexpensive home by any means, but the aesthetics of it with the requirement for garages, a 612 roof pitch instead of a traditional manufactured home roof pitch, which is more like a 312 pitch, which that for those that aren't familiar with those numbers, it's a 6 foot of height for 12 feet of run versus 3 feet of height for 12 feet of run. So a very flat roof compared to a very steep roof. But those, I think that's the most important thing I could answer is an MH Advantage qualified home is a new building standard that is not what you would identify historically as a manufactured home. So I hope that helps.
If I will adjourn the meeting and we will not resolve it. It's that simple. We need to carry on through the protocol. The protocol is it's transparent to speak.
I just wanted to, I had a couple of questions of, the representative. One is, have you seen the site that the proposed home is going to be on?
Only by satellite image is only place I've seen it.
Okay, and just in terms of nomenclature, I understand that you are saying you have, what is it, a prestige advantage, but what you're selling is a manufactured home, is that correct?
Well, I guess I would say that it's factory built. There's off-site built homes and site built homes. So this is an off-site built home. But if you were to look through or take a tour of the factory, you would see the same building materials, same building process. It's just where it's built. But under the federal code of HUD, building code, anything built to a HUD code is considered a manufactured home. And this home is built to the HUD building code. So it falls under that category. You're correct. The designation.
I just wanted to establish that, I mean, I understand that you're representing and your company has a particular product that you're trying to differentiate from other products, maybe some historical manufactured homes. But what you're doing is a manufactured home in the traditional sense of the word, a manufactured home.
Yeah, the building code of HUD, that federal HUD code is what this home is built to, which does make it a manufactured home under that category. And then the secondary designation is the MH Advantage qualified version of it.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to, but I think that's some other discussion, but.
So in, looking at the city of Bisbee general plan, 2015 land use element general land use goals and policies, which Manuel here, spoke of. In looking through this, and I remember, I think this was part of the charrette that happened, the San Jose charrette, right? And I did speak with somebody who, was part of that charrette at Mark Patel, who you're all familiar with, who helped, I think, to write some of the results of that. And I asked him about the term housing types. And so, and I asked him, does that mean different kinds of manufacturing types, product types, or does that mean different kinds of housing types, meaning housing use types? And he said he doesn't recall very clearly, but he does believe that it meant different housing types, meaning single housing, duplex, multifamily. It didn't mean construction types. So the city's position, from what has been in your explanations here, I think that the city is using the construction type to satisfy some of the goals of the charrette, which is the diversity of housing types. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the city is saying construction type is the same as a housing type, where I think that those are two different types of, use this, right? One's a housing use and the other one's a construction. So I'm not sure that the city's argument of that this allowing this manufactured home in our one zoning area helps to satisfy some of the goals of the charrette in having a mix of housing. not on housing block.
Is it, can you ask questions?
Yes, sir. You can, okay, and the answer is we five and three.
Okay, question to the applicant, how long have you owned this lot, sir?
It's 1 year. Oh, yes. Yes, sir, we purchased it, about 1 year ago.
Okay. And the second question is, why did you choose to do a manufactured home rather than a site-built home?
For the cost reasons and trying to get a contractor to be able to do it within a reasonable time frame. I mean, we're talking trying to get supplies, trying to get the material and all that would probably take about 2.5 years because it is a single house being built. Now, if this was an area like you mentioned before, that they were all building them, there would be no problem to do a site, but it is extremely expensive. We probably spend $200,000 more doing it that way. So that is the reason, one of the biggest reasons for that.
Okay, and then the cost of, in your calculation, the cost of the site-built home was X, and the cost of the manufactured home was Y,
Yes, sir.
and the difference was substantial enough that you chose that you would like to do a manufactured home?
Absolutely, especially what was offered. We were only looking for, just a nice, 1,600 square foot house. And we looked in plenty of places around here, Bisbee, but, to be able to bring the house up to the standards, cost again would be outrageous for us.
And then my last question, sorry. I did, it's just good for me personally to have some background about why people choose what they're doing.
Yes, sir.
And did you talk to, other than the gentleman that said that you had a conversation, did you talk to any of the other neighbors?
We did talk to a couple of individuals on the day we submitted the variance application. Because he suggested that we, go talk to the neighbors. So we did talk to this gentleman and I don't remember the other individuals, but we spoke to them. We had the plans in our hand and, we wanted to show them, but they said, no, it's perfectly fine. And, and that was the whole reason we went through it is because we submitted the variance application. Other than that, we wouldn't need to do this. So that was the reason.
Okay, thank you. And then I would just have a question. What's your experience in building a house as opposed to anything else? Is it as difficult? I mean, I understand that if there's several houses being built, that it's more cost effective.
Well, I think that as far as the building materials and things like that, they are relatively available.
Can you put the microphone here? Bill, I think Bill was.
Oh, okay. So all of the building materials are relatively available. But as far as it takes for the time, he's close to it, I don't think it would be 2 years ago. Every contractor is extremely busy. And we're in a time now where, during COVID, materials are very difficult to get. And now we're in a time where manpower is very, very hard to acquire. So, that's what it's about. The cost of building a house right now is probably more than $250,000 per foot. So that's what it's about. So bigger square footage times 300, and that's probably close to where
It's $250 or $300 a square foot to build a house today. What is the, maybe I can ask the gentleman up there, what's the cost per square foot for your product? Roughly.
You're muted.
You're muted, sir.
Thank you. There's a few variables because there's a lot of on-site work that has to be done in the excavation, foundation work. utility extensions, the garage. Many of those things are built on site. The house itself is in the $120 a square foot range. By the time you add the other structures and the improvements on the site, it will probably push it into another $30 a square foot. So I guess I would say somewhere in the $160-$170 square foot range when you're all done.
Thank you.
This is a question for you, Mr. Mayor. You're on the hot seat. Again, going back to the compatibility of the general plan, under the, where I read the city of Bisbee general 15 way, etc. Policy 2-10. It said encourage infill to the rewrite of the zoning ordinance. And so I'm wondering if the zoning ordinance never got rewritten from 2015.
The zoning ordinances are brought before the planning commission who, you know, consider different changes, like we adopted the light code, we adopted other zoning changes. This one has not, to my knowledge, I've only been there almost 3 years, has been brought before planning and zoning for a different, for a change. And should have been, could have been, it is what it is.
So it sounds to me as though this variance is using, I don't know how to say this really articulately, but that it's something the city would like to see happen. They were anticipating rewriting the zoning code back in 2015. It didn't happen, and so now the city is looking at this variance as something that's going to be satisfying what their goal is. My knee-jerk reaction is that it's kind of in a way putting the cart before the horse. In that if this is something that the city would like to see happen, then they would need to rewrite the code rather than piecemealing it together with singular things that would help to satisfy what their ultimate goal is.
If I might, that's what happens a lot within the city.
Yeah.
We have pages and pages of ordinances. Until something becomes, you know, we had something that came up about parking RVs in front of your house or in your house. Those weren't an issue that never have been addressed. So is this one that should have been addressed? I can't speak to that necessarily, but to say that sometimes people bring things to you to see if this is a variance. We're not really looking at the in total whole. Now the city will have to go back, talk to the planning and zoning and say, do you think that you want, when I see this as the definition of manufactured home, okay? The definition is not as clear as it may be. Should manufactured homes be a different designation about being on wheels versus being on a full concrete foundation? That's maybe something the city could and should maybe well address. I'm not saying the cart before the horse. This is their chance to come before you to ask for a variance. If it doesn't, then we as a city, if we don't think our current code meets what we as our plan said, then we should go back to PNC.
Actually, Madam Chairman,
The city attorney would like to speak. Joe, please go ahead.
thank you. I just also wanted to point out that I think part of what the board should be focused on is the means and methods and materials used, because the code does differentiate between a manufactured home and a modular home. And the definition of a modular home under the code is a factory-built home or modular component thereof, which is factory fabricated and assembled and then transported to the site for final construction. Modular units are connected together and are set securely to utilities to make a single structure and are secured to a permanent foundation. So that's what our code defines as a modular home. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of those distinctions with regard to a manufactured home, which I think a lot of times people hear the word manufactured home and they automatically think or view a mobile home, a home that has a title to it. It comes on is transported with a chassis and tires, as opposed to a modular constructed building that is built and put together off-site, transported to the site, and then affixed to a permanent foundation.
Thank you, Joe. So question, does this particular home then fall into the category of modular? Greg?
It does not fall under the some of the slang of this term modular. The state calls it a factory built building in its most exact term, but the modular home description that's in your code absolutely fits what this is. It is built off-site, shipped in sections. No wheels and axles are part of the finished product, and it actually has a higher standard than the modular. The MH Advantage building standard is higher than modular because a modular doesn't have to have the steeper roof pitch, doesn't have to have a garage, doesn't have to have a 72 square foot covered porch or dormers, wide overhangs of eaves. All of those things are actually a higher standard than the modular code.
One more question, and I this lightly said in your original presentation that our people that are here asking for the variance will be spending $300,000 for this home.
I don't know the exact cost of the garage and some of the site development costs, but I am anticipating that would be close to that by the time they're done. There is certainly contractors that could bid some of that work more affordably. I believe they've obtained a number of bids. The home portion of this with delivery and installation, I believe, and I feel bad I don't have that number right in front of me, but I believe the home is in the 170 range. And so you add obviously the cost of the land and the site improvements with the garage and the other things that I've mentioned, foundation and the driveway and all those other things that have got to come into play. I just can't imagine it not being close to that total cost. I'm not sure what the land cost was either.
What kind of foundation is this home to be affixed to? He would better
It's-
answer that question.
It is required to be a masonry foundation as part of that MH Advantage Fannie Mae guideline. So it is a masonry foundation, not a skirting.
I will say that I do find the ordinance in the code difficult to interpret in this situation, but I've had questions all along about it. Just so you know that. I think the second thing I want to say to all of you is too that regardless of which way this goes, but should this not go in your favor, sir, that your next step is Superior Court, am I correct, Mr. Mayor? Yeah. That's your next step. I don't know how this vote's gonna go, we're gonna have a vote, but that's the next recourse that will be available to anybody that can. With that, if there are no more questions, I'm ready to call for the vote. You have a question?
Discussion? No, I thought we were gonna have a discussion.
Yes, I'm sorry.
this is the question period was different than the discussion period.
Yes, right now, we're
It's all
gonna,
the same.
right now, we had a discussion of the variance application among the board members. And I thought that's what we just did, and we were able to ask questions of the audience. But
Okay.
we weren't.
No, I mean, I thought we were gonna.
We did, we can continue discussion. I think
Okay,
it's
well,
worth it.
I just,
I think it's worth it.
you know, I went out to the site.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I knew the original developer, Mark McIntyre, was very, very proud of his accomplishment there with this an unfulfilled vision, I might add. According to what somebody said. I just, I think plunking down a home where those other homes that are site built, is not the best idea for that particular neighborhood. That said, I think there is some clarification needed for, to bring it into a little bit clearer focus with the compatibility of the general plan. I do feel there is a stigma that's attached to, the kind of homes that, the kind of home that he's got, and that may no longer be appropriate. There were some pretty bad actors early on in the manufactured home situation, some fly-by-nighters that gave the whole industry a bad name. So I think it would be with the planning and zoning commission to at least take another look at that and maybe update our own regulations. And just for the applicant's point of view, this is an old community. And a lot of us are old in the community too. And so sometimes we get things that come before us that, as the mayor said, that are, there's no precedent for it, and we have to make some kind of judgments about that. With, knowledge that our regulations may not be as clear or up to date as we want them to be. And so our board has to make that decision based on what actually is, not what we'd like it to be. Well, in that case, I don't support it. I think that the neighbors there's 18 neighbors, there's 18 signers of the petition, 13 on the Camino de Nevada that opposed this. And I'm sure they had various reasons, but one of the main reasons seems to be from the people here that they were worried about the effect of the equity in the home, about being lowered. I'm not sure that would happen, but who knows? So I personally not in favor of this because of that. But with the caveat that I think that putting that to the council or to the planning and zoning or something, that to maybe take a closer look at this and to accommodate newer building construction of some of the factory made homes and standards and stuff. Yeah, there's several things. I mean, I think, well, I won't go into it, but yeah, so anyway, that's that.
Are there any other comments? Are we ready for a vote? I'd like to call. Would anybody like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we do not approve of the ordinance as requested.
For a second? All those in favor, will do a roll call vote on this. Sharon.
I also go along with, Fred's statement that I think that the city might need to take a look at the code that we have. If materials are comparable, if materials follow the things that we want for the neighborhood to be
up to standard. We're certainly, part of this, and I think it would be a way to start looking at new forms of construction. But as it stands right now, considering the community not wanting it, I have to hope what the community is asking for, and that is that we propose this variance.
That's me, that's just saying,
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, again, I think Fred and Sharon have articulated the issue well, and they will also say that, Fred's conclusion. Well, I oppose it very.
Yes.
What the heck you talking about?
Yeah.
And then my vote is, and I
Still need Fred.
also, and Fred.
Yeah.
With that, the motion passes to not approve this variance of this location.
All right.
You can. Motion to adjourn by Tyler. Can I have a second? Second. Meeting adjourned. Because,